It is a total honor to be here with all of you today. I think on some level, this personal journey for me began in my family's childhood garden in Oregon. I was the youngest of 6 kids, and I remember that my favorite memories as a kid were standing at my dad's knees and learning how to water his tomato plants. And it just felt incredibly good to be 3 years old and realize that I had what it took to actually make a difference. I knew how to hold a hose, I knew how to count to 10, and I was helping something grow, which was just an incredible feeling. And I grew up in this big family where food was about love and food was about family, and I had no idea until I got to school just how good I had it. The reality is that in this country, far too few children have that kind of experience with food. The family vegetable garden or the dinner table is not where the center of their relationship with food actually is. It's their school. And schools, in addition to, as you all in this room well know, in addition to teaching kids about math and reading and science, we're teaching kids how to be people, and we are teaching them how to eat. And that influence that we have on them in school shapes them for a lifetime. And yet, in far too many of our nation's schools, what we feed them there and what we teach them about food does not set them up to be lifelong healthy eaters. It helps cement habits of eating that are much more similar to a fast food nation than a truly healthy, prosperous nation. Many of you in this room already know the statistics. The reality is that we take this incredibly valuable environment, the school environment, and we teach kids very little about food. We give them, on average, 3.5 hours of nutrition education in a year of schooling. A child then goes home and watches that much TV in a typical evening, much of it TV that is promoting unhealthy food to them in the commercials. And we feed kids in school, with low-income kids often getting half their daily nutrients there, but all too often getting access to nutrients that are just not as healthy as they should be to set kids up for lifelong healthy habits. So it's clearly the right place to work, but beyond schools being the right place to reach all kids, they're also the right place to reach the kids who are most in need of healthy food. Because one of the great differentiators in a country that has an opportunity gap and an education gap and a race gap and a wealth gap is that we also have a food gap. Low-income children and children of color are disproportionately marginalized by our food system in this country. And we see that playing out in the low-income schools where kids show up to eat often half their daily calories and in fact are not given the kind of food that gets them to their desk in the morning, well-nourished, ready to learn, and ready to succeed. And the legacy of that choice plays out throughout a child's lifetime. Children who, as children or then as adults, suffer from diet-related disease attain less education, are out sick more at work, advance less in their career, get fewer raises. Ultimately, in addition to dealing themselves with the painful and costly realities of diet-related disease, are also raising families with kids that are themselves at elevated risk of diet-related disease themselves. So the cycles of inequality that we have in our country that keep holding certain kids back from health and opportunity, and let's be honest, human potential, play out once again in the relationship our kids have with food, a relationship that they begin to build so strongly in school. What children need in their school food environment is something holistic. Children need to have a chance to learn what healthy food is, to develop the knowledge base where they truly understand what real food is and where it comes from. That nutrition education needs to be far more engaging than pointing at a poster on a wall, which was my childhood nutrition education experience. Children also need a chance to fall in love with healthy food. If you have not tried spinach before, you're going to be pretty skeptical of it. And the nutrition science literature around neophobia backs this up. There's a tremendous fear of trying new foods, and it can take a lot of effort to break through those walls to get kids excited to eat new and healthy foods. And that work is best done in an environment like a school garden and in an environment like a school kitchen where kids have a chance to actually grow that spinach themselves and taste it and feel proud of what they have made. But it is simply not enough to change children's knowledge or to change their attitudes. If we care about their health and their lifelong potential, we better also change their behaviors at the end of the day. And that work is about changing what is in the lunch line available to kids to be eaten, and how that lunch line, as you heard, is set up to encourage kids to make the right choice when they're there and to be excited to eat the healthy food that they have studied and grown. After being an advocate for change in my college campus cafeteria at Yale with great colleagues and people we could pester like John Tureen and David Davidson, and doing ridiculous stunts like releasing sheep on the campus quad to try to get our classmates interested in where food came from. We set up a kiddie pool and filled it with manure in the middle of campus and said, you got to reconnect with the farms that are around our campus. And all kinds of ridiculous things that I don't think worked at all. We did realize that there was incredible potential to actually make change in how a school approaches food, and the amazing work that has happened through the Yale Sustainable Food Project since we left and on college campuses like this one around the country gave me great hope that big change was possible if you just threw yourself at the wall with enough people and enough energy to make that change. So with a team of 5 co-founders, I set out in 2009 to begin starting an organization that would unleash that kind of potential on the national school landscape. We started an organization called FoodCorps that would operate as an AmeriCorps affiliate program across the country, helping to transform school food environments into places that have those 3 pillars: the knowledge of what healthy food is, the chance to engage hands-on with it in a garden, and regular daily access to it in a cafeteria environment. And we are incredibly proud of the work that FoodCorps has been able to do over the last 4.5 years since our launch in now 17 states across the country, with 182 Corps members out in the field in our current 4th class, each dedicating a year of their lives to national service for a modest stipend, where they are throwing themselves at this wall and saying, food service directors, how can we partner with you and help you? Community leaders, how can we partner with you and help you? Principals and teachers and engaged parents, how can we partner with you and help you to transform the school food environment that we are offering our children in this community? The work we are doing reaches across rural places in the Mississippi and Arkansas deltas, and rural Montana and rural Iowa in the Corn Belt, to urban districts. We work here in Massachusetts, we work in Detroit, in San Diego, in Los Angeles, because we're trying to build a model that actually replicates the great diversity of our country and show that it is possible to build healthy school food environments across all of these varied contexts, from native communities in New Mexico to rural conservative outposts in Montana to urban Detroit. The impact we are able to achieve hand in hand with our partners is thrilling. There are all kinds of things you can count: the number of kids we're teaching, the number of gardens we're building, the number of new ingredients and locally sourced recipes we're able to partner with farmers and food service teams to get into schools for the first time. But really, those numbers are about adding up to a story of impact that can help us drive systemic change. My co-founder, Deb Eschmeyer, was recently selected by Michelle Obama to become the head of the Let's Move program at the White House. The Farm Bill in the most recent iteration included language that, if appropriated, will support a $25 million funding stream to help scale up farm-to-school efforts that are powered by the national service model that FoodCorps has pioneered. And we are thrilled to be building the evidence base for how powerful healthy school food environments could be if they were not the exception, but in fact became the norm across our country. It takes work getting to scale, and getting to a scale where we actually are able to achieve the systems change goals that we have in mind. But FoodCorps is proud to be on that path. We've grown from our startup period to where we are today with 182 Corps members in the field and a $9 million budget and a whole bunch of national staff who are proving that impact and helping build a more consistent and powerful intervention every day. There's also a lot more scale still to go. We reach 500 schools today. There are 100,000 public schools in this country. And in each one of them, every single child deserves to grow up knowing what healthy food is, caring about where it comes from, and having the chance to eat it every single day. I'm thrilled to be here with a number of FoodCorps service members and our amazing FoodCorps Massachusetts fellow, the alumni team leader for our cohort here. So I just wanted to ask each of you to stand up and say your name and where you are serving.
My name is Alex Friedman, and I help coordinate the state program as the Massachusetts Fellow in partnership with the Food Project.
And my name is Amanda Chin, and I serve in Cambridge and Boston at City Sprouts.
I am Jessica Perlman, and I'm at City Sprouts in Cambridge as well.
Fantastic. Can we give them a round of applause for their service? Thank you. The work that we do at FoodCorps would not in any way be possible or impactful without the community partner relationships we have. Our statewide lead partner here in the Food Project and our many community partners around the state, from City Sprouts to Mill City Grows. We are tremendously thrilled to be working here in Massachusetts and look forward to connecting with many of you throughout the day. So thank you all very much.
That was great. I do have one question. I know I was going to hold it off to the end, but I have one question for you. So when Eric was up here giving his presentation, he talked about that food nutrition education required 30 to 50 hours to kind of sink in and take effect. And you said that on average we're getting about 3 hours per child, which resonates, as I was key in starting the garden program in Boulder, and that's about how many hours kids are out there. What can we do? I mean, what's the answer there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember that there's formal nutrition education and then there's informal nutrition education. And right now, we're all getting a lot of informal nutrition education, sitting in this room looking at the foods that are showing up on this screen and having a reaction to them. So there's good literature that shows that starting at around 10 hours of nutrition education, you can see a shift in children's attitudes toward healthy food. So one of the metrics FoodCorps tracks is the number of kids who we are reaching with 10 or more hours of nutrition education. And with those kids, we then do a fruit and vegetable preference survey in a pre-post fashion so we can get an understanding of, is it indeed true that attitudes toward healthy food are beginning to swing in a positive direction? But beyond that, we recognize that one of the greatest challenges FoodCorps actually has in the 500 schools we reach around the country is getting access to class time. Schools are under so much tremendous pressure to deliver on testing standards and academic goals and all kinds of valuable things that people are working towards, that we recognize we have to be transforming the school environment as a whole and recognize that the world that wraps around our children in school is a huge piece of what their education about food actually looks like. So it's about culture change. It's about creating a culture of health in our schools.
That's great. Thank you.